two of my best guys got deported, right? It's like, well, just don't hire illegals. Okay, show me the documented people that actually will work and I'll hire, because there's very few. We can run very successful societies that earn significant amounts of money and resources in a profoundly loving way. People of low awareness are very easily controlled, and you can take people of low awareness and cause them to fight each other. When we are experiencing conflict, it is because we are preferring people over the divine.
It's like the game always wins in the end. If we see the reality, they will tell us that you are going against the system and we'll end up in prison.
The only reason he did violent crime is because he got into the incorrect conversation. He got out of contact with God.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Roofing Millionaires Podcast, the only roofing podcast where we don't promote anyone and we don't sell you anything. In this episode, we are sitting down with Isaac Smith from Brothers Metal Roofing in Ohio. Isaac talks about how we can leave our differences behind in order to create a future that is filled with love and peace for everyone. So do like and share this video with everyone in your friend list, even if they are not from roofing, because this video has a message for the world, not just for the roofing industry. Let's dive in.
What do you mean when you say that you are bringing the old world craftsmanship back today?
America, generally speaking, in the roofing industry, it's about speed and productivity. So in the, Europe, and also over like in different places in Asia, it's a lot more about appearance and quality of install. I have a deep belief that if we're going to do something, we're going to do it well. And if it can be done to a degree of excellence, then it should be. Right. And generally speaking, the way that is done in Western Russia, Eastern Europe, is very handcrafted. It's very intentional, and it's amazing. Like the quality of workmanship, the kind of thought that it takes, the kind of skill that it takes is on a level so much higher than what most of the world is used to. And I think that if we as humans can do that, it's necessary that we do. If we don't, we're actually rejecting the talent and the skill that we have that's latent inside of us, right? So we're compelled. We should do that.
And why do you feel that is lost? Like you are talking about we should do that. And I agree with you that in America particularly, it is a lot about speed and productivity, not about efficiency and actually care, I would say. So why do you feel that America, or like let's just say that the people in your industry deviated from being artists to being genuine businessmen?
The American dream was mostly about having a really nice place, having a lot of money, and becoming rich, becoming a millionaire, right? And becoming that millionaire as fast as possible. That requires a rapid return on investment, maximum dollars earned per day. What that is ultimately doing, it's very slowly reducing the level of quality of the workmanship being done. And also, America is for the large part a subcontractor, where you have a contractor and then you have a client, contractor, subcontractor. And that relationship is most of the time not very well managed. And so what happens is the subcontractor wants to get in, they want to get that money. So they do it well enough to get paid. They don't do it exceptionally well. They just do it well enough to get paid. And that inherently, humans are going to do it less good than they should, generally speaking. Then there's this entire industry that is mostly subcontractor, client, contractor, subcontractor driven. Many contractors don't actually know what they're doing. They're not actually out there doing it. And the subcontractors may or may not know what they're doing. The client, the homeowner, is looking at the roof from the curb, looks fine to them. It doesn't leak right now. So, okay, cool, right? But it doesn't drive excellence. It's more of a client contractor relationship experience than it is a excellence of execution experience.
And how are you doing it differently? Because what I feel is that most roofing contractors, I agree with you. Like just before our podcast, I was having a meeting with one of the roofing company owners in Plano, Texas, and he told me that I am tired of dealing with people because I hire people and they do the work, but just as at the point where they get paid, they just think that, okay, now we are paid, we don't need to take it towards the absolute excellence point. And then they just deviate. And I am tired of this. So, how are you handling this and how are you doing things differently?
I don't know that I'm doing it very well. It's actually something that I'm looking at because there's a lot of factors that go into the workforce in America. Right now, a great portion of the American workforce in roofing are undocumented Hispanic people. And that means that a lot of them are getting deported. Two of my best guys got deported, right? It's like, well, just don't hire illegals. Okay, show me show me the documented people that actually will work and I'll hire because there's very few. This might sound offensive. Most American people of working age are either disillusioned with the workforce, they've been overtaxed and overworked all their life, and they're just like, screw it, I don't want to do it, right? Or if they have talent, they're able to charge a lot of money, and very often we can't afford them because other contractors, there's an entitlement, and whether they actually are worth that money, they can go get it, right? So it is definitely difficult. It's something that I will be committing more effort and energy into. I'm not sure. I don't know how that looks actually. I think that the contracting industry is changing, dramatically changing, and I think it will require some real effort and real intention to observe, to communicate, and work together. So this is what I see. We need to stop being divided and stop fighting with each other, accusing and blaming and those kind of things, and come sit down together and have a united conversation, right? And this goes for everything, not just contracting. It's everything. Everything that we have known as America coming up until now doesn't exist anymore. That world is collapsing. And I think that's happening around the entire world. We are rapidly moving into a very transitional time. And I think we'd be fools if we said we know how to function there. I don't think anybody does. The one thing I know is that it's going to be together. The people that will succeed will do it together, right? That's what's going to work. And the details of how all that looks and works together, I think anybody that says they know how that looks is arrogant.
Okay, I get your point, and I read a quote a few months back where someone asks a monk that how can we treat humans and the problems that we have in the society, and that monk replied that you need to love people on a human level, and the person asks, what if this medicine does not work? And the monk replies, increase the dose.
Humanity has lost its way, and we're doing a lot of things. We're running around and busy and insanely busy with what? With what? We don't even know, right? Just it's insanity. And the one ingredient that is not present is love. And the nature of the conversation of the world is such that it actually viciously fights love. And people do this innocently. They're not intending to fight love. But the truth is that the nature in which we interact with each other and the rule sets that we operate by cause us to be unable to love each other violently. So, I am extremely inspired to do that. Every single dollar that I make is going to go towards blessing humans that are less fortunate than me and less capable of doing something about it, right?
That is such a great purpose, and I'm gonna come back to this later on because from the last few months, I have been doing a lot of reading on things like that. That's why we are so almost all of the time we are in a hustle mode without looking at the goal, without looking at anything. Everything is just numbers, numbers, numbers. We want to increase our numbers, no matter if it is our sales, no matter if it is our personal goals, no matter what it is, we are just so much inspired by logic. And the other thing that you mentioned is uh, we in roofing industry are not good at supporting each other, but what a lot of roofers are doing is that on social media or offline, they are trying to pull each other's leg. They never want to support. Like even if you just go out there and you post that this is something that I messed up at today, you will have 100 comments that will bash you, but not one that will tell you that how it is to be done right. And that brings me to a question, Isaac. You mentioned that the industry is changing, the world is changing, and not just roofing industry, all the businesses and the behaviors of humans are changing worldwide. What do you feel could be the best case scenario of this change and the worst case scenario?
Well, worst case scenario will be some kind of the nature of the conversation of the world is genocide. The nature of the conversation of God and love is profoundly loving, abundant community. The key marker when we know that a community is effectively operating in the love of God is this: when that community properly serves and protects the weakest members of that community, the members that have the least ability to protect themselves, right? When a community is properly functioning in the love of God, it will first and foremost and always protect the least capable members of its society. When a society begins to mark its less capable members as a burden, that is a very, very dangerous red flag.
And do you believe that capitalism has a role to play in this as well? This is something that just popped up in my mind right now. Because if you look at the members of the society that are not functionally maybe able to earn, or that are not capable as much as you are or as much as I am, we down on them and we just focus on our path, then these people will stop existing maybe, or their lives will be miserable. And even if we are uh, earning a lot of money, which capitalism teaches, or maybe I'm wrong here, then we will never serve our bigger purpose of being human.
I don't know that anybody properly understands capitalism. I'm not going to attack capitalism. I don't know that I understand it. I do know that the nature of the conversation that is happening in the world, and there's examples of this: Israel versus Gaza, Russia versus Ukraine, and I'm not taking sides there. I don't think there's a clean line. I'm not taking Ukraine versus Russia or Russia versus Ukraine. That's just a bad situation. That's human beings murdering each other, and there's collateral damage that are infants, women, and weak people. For what? Because there's very selfish people involved on both sides. The answer is not armament. It's not. It's not. The answer is profound, fervent love. Sacrificial love. Sacrificial love that is willing to die for their fellow human being. That is the most powerful armament against the hatred in the world. Sacrificial love that will literally die for its fellow human being and live that way, knowing that if I continue this way, I could potentially die because I love you. That's the only way. It's the only answer. Programs, government programs, law and order. Nope, not the answer. Not the answer. We'll never be able to provide an answer. In my life, that's what I do first. So the capitalistic conversation tries to make that a conflict. ROI business is a conflict with sacrificial love. That's a lie. That is a lie. We can run very successful societies that earn significant amounts of money and resources in a profoundly loving way. We absolutely can. We never have to eliminate profound sacrificial love out of the story.
And how would this profound sacrificial love look like if it is, like, let's just say that we are living in the best case scenario? How would it exactly look like?
I mean, what I'm going to be doing here in Greenville, Ohio, I'm not in like a super wealthy area, but it's wealthy enough. And I have 4 pretty large cities within 2-hour drive from me. So there's millions of dollars of revenue within not far from me. And so I have to operate my business intelligently, wisely. So, okay, I know I'm vague and I apologize. The reason I may seem vague to you is because it's really important that we understand what we're saying.
Mhm.
I can't be specific unless we know what we actually mean, okay? In order to do this, I have to be a servant to people. Now, there are persons that all persons are important. Some persons are more important in my life, right? my wife, my children. They're the most important. And then I have the people that work in my business, right? Are really important. And then my clients are directly important to me. But I have to do all of that, acknowledging that everybody in the entire ecosystem that we live in are also important. So I have to take care of the people that are most important to me in a way that also blesses everybody else that is important in the world. If I do it in a way that cuts your throat, then that's a lie. So I think what I'm seeing for me is that the vast majority of the things that are happening in the business and the contracting world are by nature selfish first. And I'm going to operate, because I don't understand things well enough, I'm going to operate in a manner that is sacrificial first, foremost, and always. So what does that look like today for me? One of the things, I buy and sell junk on Facebook Marketplace. And I have a camper. It's a junky camper, but I put it on Facebook Marketplace for $500. That camper brought me 6 homeless men and families to my inbox, right? And so I always knew there were homeless people, right? I always knew there's people in rough places in their life. But now 6 of those are in my inbox. They're in my inbox telling me about their houses that burned down, about the fact that they lost their job and they're living in a shed with cardboard, things like that. And so going forward from today, I will be working together with the community that's around me to gather together whatever resources we can to bless these persons in whatever way we can, whatever that looks like, right? And we're going to do that together. And then I will very actively, so the operation of the world is cruel. Now, people are like, well, nature's cruel. Go out in nature and observe. Yeah, I know. But God gave us divine inspiration. We're not animals. That is the defining characteristic that separates us from animals, is the ability to divinely love. So don't tell me that I should be an animal, that's just normal. I don't believe that. That's how the animal kingdom works. It's just how it works, right? But we get to profoundly love each other. So the industrial world, if it does not deem you as critical in its operation, it will dispose of you that fast. It will not only dispose of you, it will dispose of you in such a way that you cannot get back. And there are people, well, I mean, if you go deep enough into the tunnels of industry, people get murdered. People hire hitmen. And there's a lot of ways that happens, right? There may not be a physical murder, but there's a lot of ways in which a person can be destroyed. They might still be alive, but everything that they were, everything that they knew, everything that they believed is demolished. And there's really no way back. Now, the truth is that God exists and he is profoundly more powerful than anything like that. So we have to operate with love first. How does that look? We're going to have to let the inspiration of God to flesh that out. I don't think we know how that looks because it is everywhere around us. The sun comes up every day, right? The wind blows, it rains, nature is existing, right? But something I've observed is that the incorrect conversation so effectively blinds us to the truth of God's divine presence that we can literally be right in the middle of it and not see it, like completely miss it, right? So it's very spiritual, man. It's spiritual first. We have to take the time to silence the racket and the noise of the world so we can hear the sound of God. And once we hear that, it's like, my God, why did I not hear this before? It's been here all along. The sun's been coming up every day. The moon shines. The stars are there. The wind blows, right? It rains. Everything is happening all around me. And I was just missing it entirely, completely not seeing it. So I thought that maybe it was separate, but it's not. It's just not. That's actually a lie, that it's separate. That business and community are two separate worlds, that's actually the lie that drives the hatred in the.
Do you believe that ego has to play some role in this as well? Because what I got from you, and I love that analogy when you said that it is not like usual that you do physical murder, there can be emotional murders as well, and you can completely kill someone's identity and the purpose of their existence by just doing something or messing something up with them. And uh, I have like two things here. The one thing is that when you mentioned about the conflicts that are going on in the world, I agree with you 100%. And also believe that the opposition that we see is controlled opposition. Like the people who are in charge, they know that how to uh, keep these people in a constant conflict. That is why the people this who feel that we have seen something, we have seen the reality, that is not even the reality, that is just the controlled reality that people who are in the control, they want you to see. And that is how controlled opposition works. That is the first thing. The second thing is that when you said that we need unconditional love, I agree with that as well. I love your energy, and I feel my mentor told me one time that get into conversation to see that if you are wrong, like don't. I feel that most people, when they feel that their point is being proven wrong, they just get into that defensive mindset, and then no matter what you are telling them, the back of their mind is just working to prove their point instead of listening to what you are actually saying.
So awareness. Most of us exist in a state of very low awareness. And when we are very in low awareness, we're going to react to conditions that are around us. People in power know that and they use that against us, right? Now, so we need to become much more aware and awake to the divine presence, right? People of low awareness are very easily controlled and manipulated. And you can take people of low awareness and cause them to fight each other. And they think they're actually fighting the real fight, right? And it's actually not at all. It's not at all the real thing that's happening. I think the energy of love requires real profound awareness. It's so easy. I easily fall out of it. I think we regard man too much. We respect and regard men in preference to God, in preference to the divine. When we regard persons in preference to the divine, we will have conflict. When we are experiencing conflict, it is because we are preferring people over the divine 100% of the time. The divine is always in agreement with itself. It cannot produce conflict. It can't do it. So when there is conflict, somebody is out of order with the divine. Guaranteed. Every time.
And Isaac, how important do you feel are conversations like these for business owners? Because a lot of times when I sit down with my guests and I have conversations on deeper topics, people tend to say that this conversation is not about roofing or it's not about business. However, I differ with them because when you are operating a business and when you are out there interacting with people, you are out there and you are the reason why so many people's lives are getting changed, and then you operate out of jealousy, you operate out of like impulsive, and you just don't know how to be aware. These kind of conversations do matter as a business owner, or you should have an eye on these things as well. What do you feel is the importance to having conversations like these that we are having in the roofing industry or in the business world overall?
Any conversation that causes us to think that a different country, a different group of people, or even a group of people within our own country boundaries, if a conversation is wanting to cause us to believe that they are inherently bad people, that is profoundly an incorrect conversation, right? Now, people in power know that they can manipulate, they intentionally do that. They create situations that intentionally pit people against one another. And then we are pitted against each other and we get mad. And because our financial things are actually ruined and things actually do happen that are not good. And then we get caught up in those conversations. The white collar, the blue collar Americans are like, all these retarded illegal immigrants need to leave. They're illegal immigrants. Why are they here illegally? Because the government created the entire scenario, made it 100 times more attractive to come here illegally. It's an entire situation. If you sit down with these persons, they're just, the vast majority of them are just normal persons that love their family. They're just trying to make a living and they're just trying to exist in a world that they don't understand, right? Don't tell me, like, I'm not going to comply with a legal system, a taxation system, an immigration system that is fundamentally lying to us the entire time. So don't make me agree with it and judge. Don't cause me to judge you by that lie. No, the divine is the truth. The divine power is the truth. And unless you are intentionally battling the divine power, I'm going to acknowledge you as good. And the systems and the laws of the world are not the truth. They are not the truth. We cannot regard them. They do not possess the answer. They do not. And this will get me in a lot of trouble because what I just said is very profound. It's very far-reaching. And I will absolutely operate that way. I probably go to jail. I don't know. Nah, that's pretty much a guarantee. It's pretty much a guarantee that this person right here is going to end up in jail or prison because of my beliefs. And others will all. Others that will believe this way will end up in prison. Because that system, that's a lie, will judge us as wicked.
It's like the game always wins in the end. Like if we see the reality, they will tell us that you are going against the system and we'll end up in prison or we'll be killed. And if we don't see the reality, then we'll be acting on the things that they want us to act upon and we'll be hating each other. And in that hatred, maybe we end up in prison as well. So either ways, the game always wins in the end. Like they have designed a system so well that even if we want to fight it eventually, but but we will face is the same as someone who would like face if they are on the other side and maybe after this life, um because what God has for us is better for far from this world. But in this world, the way they have designed the system, what I can sense from what you are saying is that the game always wins in the end.
God wins. God wins. And especially now, the systems of the world are becoming exposed at a lightning speed. Like the lies of the world are just coming out everywhere. And they're desperately trying to keep covering them up. But humanity, we are now one of the most cynical and suspicious humans ever. We don't, just because you say something to me does not mean that I'm going to believe it. I'm like, no. I'm like, that doesn't check out, right? And it's becoming increasingly hard to lie. Like before, you could lie and BS and you could get away with it for a very long time, 20, 30 years, right? Bro, you lie now. I watched this. You know how podcasters are really the mind frame of the world right now? Right? You know that, right? See podcasters who have confidence and trust in the world, right? They agree with one lie, like boom, they're toast. Never coming back. Never. Like the speed in which you get punished for lying today is the speed of light. It's so fast. Don't lie. Like of anything you can possibly do, don't lie. For any reason, for any person, for anything. Tell the truth and do not ally yourself. Do not become an ally with another person that is lying. Don't do it. It will destroy you that fast, and there's no coming back. It's so unforgiving. It's so unforgiving. So don't lie. Just don't do it. Don't ally yourself with a liar. With somebody that's saying stuff for money, dude, don't even talk to them. Like, keep good distance from those people. It's the most dangerous thing in the world. Do not ally yourself with a human cause. It will destroy you every time. Ally yourself with a divine cause. And even if humanity chooses to kill you, you will be preserved. Your life, your divine presence will be preserved correctly, right? So we don't have to fear that human systems might choose to hurt us or kill us. We need to fear lying. That's the most dangerous thing. Don't lie, man.
Well,
And this is and everything we do has to be done on this foundation of truth first. And when we do that, as we do that, I'm telling you, truth is prevailing and truth will prevail 100%. It's about the divine truth that created this universe. That's the one that will win. It already has. It created the universe. How are you going to argue with the divine power that created the universe? How dare you argue with that? Christianity has devolved into, it's mostly a lie, right? Most all religions have devolved into a very low grade lie. We have to come back to the truth, that which is true. There's one truth. There's one truth that operates the entire everything. So we can't disagree. Okay. Me and you might think we have a disagreement, but I'm not the definition of truth, and neither are you. We can observe truth, but we're not truth, right? So just because me and you might think we have a disagreement, it's just because one of us is observing it incorrectly, or we're misunderstanding each other, right? One of those things, right? But truth cannot disagree. Like if you're driving down the road, you might think that you can drive on the left-hand side. Do you drive on the left or the right-hand side of Pakistan?
right hand side.
Right-hand side? Okay.
Yeah.
You might believe that you can drive on the left-hand side. Hey, more power to you. I'll be visiting you at the hospital, right? So it'd be better if you would just drive on the right and allow me to drive on the. So the truth, the infallibility of the truth is actually in front of us every day. It's all around us. If there's a doorway, you have to go through the doorway. Whether I like you or not, me and you both have to go through the same doorway. I can't go over here and go through the wall, right? So I actually agree with you. I went through the same doorway. I drove on the same right-hand side. I stopped at the same stop sign, right? See how agreement is actually all around us? It's everywhere. It's everywhere. We get up by the same sun. The same sun shines on you as on me, right? So we don't have a disagreement. That's a myth. That is a myth. We may misunderstand each other, which is very likely, right? But we don't have a disagreement. That's actually impossible.
I don't have even words. Like you are so much clear about your worldview, and I'm loving this conversation. And thank you so much for sharing that with me. I feel when we open our eyes, we see that the world we live in is way different than what we assumed it was. And it's just like you said earlier that we are not aware of the things that are happening around us and that are happening inside us. And it is spirituality first. So Isaac, do you get challenged by the people around you, or do you feel that you are misunderstood by people at times, or when they don't have the same worldview as yours inside your business or outside?
My challenge is that I have a tendency of regarding man's opinion. And sometimes, like, I want people to see this how I see it, right? And then when they don't, it makes me sad, and I want them to see it so bad, right? What I'm doing now is been in this world that's very small, right? And I've been arguing with this small world, and it doesn't want to agree, right? So what I'm doing is I'm leaving that small world and I'm stepping into the world of God, which is the entire universe, which is infinite, right? And I am simply going to personally obey the voice of God, and I'm going to walk in that truth. You don't have to obey it. You don't have to agree with me. That's okay, right? But God agrees with it. And he has given me very clear instructions on what he wants me to do. And so I'm going to go do those things, right? And I'm confident that as I go do those things, I will discover better how to do them, right? And even though, and there are people in my life who have respected, who have been very close to me, they may not agree. They may actually fight me, but that's between them and God. I have an obedience that I must do regardless of anybody. Because I love you, I'm going to love God first and foremost and always, knowing that that's the only way I actually can love you, right? And so if you never choose to come to that conversation of love, that's your choice. And I have to allow you to have that choice, right? And there's very dear people in my life who I don't know if they will be part of this conversation. I don't know, right? I have to, like, there's a certain, okay. Do you ever watch fighting?
Yes.
So the only way I'm going to get a bloody nose or a big gash on my eye, or the only way I'm going to get knocked out is if I get in the fighting ring, right? If I don't get in the fighting ring, unless he jumps me, right? But if I don't get in the fighting ring, I'm not going to get a black eye. I'm not going to get knocked out. So I'm not going to argue with that conversation anymore, right? I'm not going to get in the ring with it. If I get in the ring with the wrong conversation, I actually validate it by arguing with it, right? So I'm just going to come out here where God's ring is, and I'm going to operate there. And by the grace of God, I will be aware of my ego wanting to draw me into that ring, right? And I will allow God to keep me out of that ring because in that ring, there is no victory. It doesn't exist. There's only death. There is only death in that ring. It's either you die or I die. In God's ring, there's pure life. I live, you live. We both live, right? So, when we get selfish, we get drawn into the wrong conversation, right? Because we get selfish and impatient. Then we get drawn into the wrong conversation because we want it now and we want it for me. I want you to love me, right? I want you to love me now, right? Because I want to feel good. And then we get drawn into the incorrect conversations. And that's what causes people to murder each other and to cheat on each other and, do those kind of things. So it's actually very binary. It's very binary. If you are observing conflict, know of a surety that that is the incorrect conversation. There is no righteousness in that conversation. You actually have to remove yourself from that and come to the divine conversation in which there is always unity and agreement, right? But you also have to be patient, knowing that the other parties may not follow you into the correct conversation. They very well probably won't, right? And so there's this letting go, right? There's this releasing, like, I can't control you. I'm not going to attempt to control you. It's like, let go, right? And that's humanly, we don't like doing that. We want to control it, right? So, and the crazy thing is, even though we might know the right thing to do, if we allow ourselves to get drawn into that conversation, we start making all kinds of stupid decisions. It's like, why in the world did I do that? You got in the wrong conversation. Look, Pakistanis and Indians, right? You guys have conflict, right? Pakistanis aren't bad people. Indians aren't bad people. If we allowed love to govern the conversation, we would actually find wealth and abundance like so much greater than we can even comprehend. And Indians would learn, like, wow, Pakistanis are like such a blessing. And Pakistanis would be like, oh my God, Indians are like these amazing people, right? And you could remain Pakistani and you could remain Indian, right? You could retain that identity, but you could bless each other as your unique self, right? This is the conversation, man. This conversation that me and you are having is the victory over the world. I'm telling you, my guy. I'm so confident I will die on this. I will die. I will go to jail for this. I will go to prison for this. I will do it. Because this is truth. It's so
This is
simple.
how real freedom looks like.
Yes. I am not behooving to any government and narrative and no. I love you and I know that you are first divinely created, first and always, right? Even if, and I would say this to a violent criminal, first and foremost, whoever this person is, whatever violent crime he's done, first and foremost, he's a divine being. The only reason he did violent crime is because he got into the incorrect conversation. He got out of contact with God. And any one of us, any single person is capable of committing the most heinous crimes when you're out of contact with the divine, right? And so if we draw ourselves back into the divine, heinous crimes cannot exist inside of the divine. That's an impossibility. So even if a person was a horrible criminal, All we have to do is bring it back into the divine character, and it's safe. It's safe, right? Life in prison doesn't. Who does that benefit? Who? No. It's just this expense that we have to pay, and we have to guard these. Divine mind is the solution, right? I don't know, man. This is a beautiful conversation. This is the conversation. This is the answer to the Indian-Pakistani conflict.
Isaac, like I'm just so amazed by this, and this is such an insane thing that humans do. Like when you were talking about all of this, what I was thinking is that let's just say that I now start seeing the reality of the world. Now my selfishness would tell me that go and make Isaac learn this reality as well. I don't have to apply it on myself. My inner self would never tell me to change my life. It would force me to change your life and to change everyone else's life, because I don't want to apply that knowledge on myself, because I know that it would be hard for me to apply that, but it is easier for me to preach that and to tell others that do this. And when they don't do that, you just have conflict and you don't feel good, and that is when you are in the wrong ring and you just don't let them go. Or you just don't accept that it is between them and God. It is not between you and them. It is between them and God, and you just have to let them go. That is such a beautiful point that you unlocked in me. And regarding India and Pakistan, I agree with you so much that people have their bullshit detectors on right now, because I see so many videos on YouTube and on Facebook that the general public, both in India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, we love each other. And we have now started seeing the reality that on a human level, everyone is just same. Even if like I am working with Americans and guys in the UK and Australia for like last 7 years, and I do get some hatred at times. Like people say that you are a Pakistani. I don't respond. Like I think that this is not my ring. But on a human level, even if I look at all the people in the world, we are all the same, and love is the answer. The question that I have, Isaac, for you is, like, let's just say a roofing contractor, or someone who is associated to roofing in any regards is listening or watching to this conversation today. What do you feel should be the first step they should be taking towards contributing to the bigger purpose of having this sacrificial love in this world?
Our tendency is to get into relationships on an ROI, return on investment, or a contract basis. That destroys our ability to love each other. I think we need to acknowledge that there is already a divine agreement that pre-exists us. It's already there. The road out there was already there before you were before I was born. The river that flows close by, that river already was for a long time, way before me and you showed up. Similarly, there is a divine contract. There is a divine agreement in the universe that we can simply acknowledge first. It predates you and me. It predates the universe. It's bound inside of God. And so let's agree with God's contract that says, will love you without reserve, unconditionally. Let's agree, whether you agree with it or not. I don't care. I'm agreeing. And I will interact with you in that agreement, right? Now, because I'm also a steward, I will first interact with people who I believe are already in agreement with that contract, right? Because I have limited time. I'm a human. So it's better for me to interact with persons who are more closely or all the way in agreement with that divine contract already and are functioning that way, right? It's going to be better use of my time, right? Now, it doesn't mean that I'm unwilling to interact with a person that is purely selfish, that is completely out of agreement with that contract, right? So I think that by setting ROI agreements and contracts that are separated from that divine agreement, we actually keep each other from being effective. So I think right now, the place that I think as humanity comes into contact and agreement with that divine agreement, we will then be able to establish temporal contracts, right? It's actually necessary to write an agreement, right? I will do this for you for X amount, right? It's necessary. That's actually part of the conversation of love so that we know what we're talking about, right? But if we don't first and foremost have the correct divine contract of love in place, we can't create these other contracts. We can't do it. And when we attempt to, they will fail. And they will. So this is what happens. The way they fail is it might work for you and me. Somebody else is getting raped by our contract. And that's a failure. That's a failure. We can just, it's their fault. No, thank you. It's our fault because we created a contract that knowingly participated in an environment that is, now this is where it gets difficult, right? Because in a certain sense, all environments, all money is bloody money, right? It's somehow connected to something that is violating people, right? We're in the world. We can't exit the world, right? There is no Shangri-La. It doesn't exist. There is no Nirvana. That's a myth. That's a myth. And we actually cause ourselves hurt by trying to create Nirvana. That is a myth. There is no Nirvana. So we can't stop participating with the world. I need fuel in my truck. I need the things that I need, right? The amount of things that I consume on a daily basis that have slave labor associated with them is probably embarrassing. I live in the world, man. What am I going to do, right? So what are we going to do? Purists would say, well, only buy things that you know were not created by slave labor. Yeah. And increase your cost of living by 10 times, right? It's actually impossible. It's not possible. Slave labor is everywhere, right? So what do? We must just simply obey the divine love. And when we operate in a world in obedience to the divine love, that obedience turns our life into a divine love, right? Now, I think if I knew that this suit, like if I actually knew the factory where it was getting manufactured and where there's horrible maltreatment of humanity, I think I would be bound to not buy it, right? I don't know, right? It's just on Amazon. I bought it for $90. It's a nice suit, right? I don't think we can just be ignorant. I don't think we can just be ignorant. But the first thing we must do is just obey divine love and treat the humans that we come in contact with divinely. That's sufficient. That's sufficient, right? When we do that effectively, that will ultimately end up putting the slave labor factory out of business. It will. It most definitely will. When we obey divine love in our place where we can, that conversation will ultimately cause the immigration situation to be repaired. But we can't wait to begin to divinely love until the immigration system is repaired. Like, that's impossible. We can't wait to divinely love until all slave labor factories are put out of business, right? That's impossible. We have to just divinely love. And then as we do that, as we connect with Isaac and Muhammad connect, and then there's a fire ignited in Muhammad and in me, right? And this fire ignites and it begins to connect, right? I'm telling you that divine love is so, it's like the sun, man. It's like the sun. Just let it shine into spaces. Once light shows up, darkness gotta go. It's gotta go, right? It can't be there. It can't dwell in the same place. This is light. This divine love is light. And it will, there is only one light source, right? There is only one love source. And so this love source, this singular love source will shine into all spaces and will enlighten the people that are there, right? And there's only one sun, man, right? In our world, maybe there's other earths, right? But hey, right now we know about ours, eh? So, that's my message to the world in a nutshell.
Mhm.
There's a lot of nuances to that. There's a lot of aspects to it. There's a lot of very specific things, but that's my message.
That was the great message, by the way. And thank you so much for joining me and having this conversation, Isaac. In just no time, I just saw that we had over like 70 minutes of conversation, and I am feeling like it's just like a few minutes just passed away. However, Isaac, my last question to you would be that I agree on everything that you say. And when we talk about this is my personal maybe worldview or opinion. You might disagree with this, but I feel I am young and maybe I'm just forming my beliefs. I feel that when we try to search God and when we are on the hunt to look for the love of God, most people misinterpret what God actually says. And that causes more harm than someone who is totally just unknown to the reality, but someone who has miscalculated the reality that can cause more harm. So my last question to you is, how can someone identify that what their interpretation about the word of God is actually for the greater good of the humanity, and they are actually seeing the reality instead of their selfish self just telling them that this is the reality and you are looking at the word of God, but ultimately you are following yourself, not him.
The love of God is free of conflict and condemnation. If what you are doing is causing conflict or causing you to condemn other individuals, you are out of contact with the love of God. That is worldly. I don't know what that is. It's not love, right? So the love of God, the divine love, causes us to let people go completely. Just let them go. And to allow the love of God is about resting. Rest. It doesn't require effort, it doesn't require knowledge. It requires nothing of you. All you have to do is just acknowledge. Go outside. Boy, that sunlight feels good. You did nothing. You just walked into the sunlight that already is. So effort is actually contrary to love. It's contrary. Rest. Rest in love. First, rest. From that rested place, you then can fervently serve your human people, right? But fervent love has to come from a resting place. Fervent love cannot come from a place of effort. It cannot. Effort cannot produce fervent love. It's opposed to it because fervent, here's it. Here's the last. Fervent love loves fervently, unconditionally, and it never asks for love in return, ever. It loves freely, constantly, always, but it never requests anything back. So if you're requesting something back, that is a short circuit. That short circuit's love, right? Because now it's like, oh, you want to love me, but you're trying to force me to love you back, right? That is opposed to divine love.
Thank you so much for your time, Isaac, and thank you so
Absolute
much
Muhammad.
for having this conversation. And I think this is something that we all need, and we all need to listen to this. And we need to have more people like you around who actually are so much clear about the purpose and the thing that they want to do in this world. So I have prayers for you, my friend, for the Christmas and for the upcoming years. And thank you so much once again. It was a beautiful conversation. Definitely one of the best conversations that I have had on this show till date. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate it. This is my first, well, I've done a couple other podcasts, but I'm also going to be doing my podcast. I'm going to call it We Are One. I think I've
Mhm.
decided that I'm just going to make it one podcast because I can't separate this spiritual world from the physical world. I can't, right? So I'm like, well, I'll have a metal roofing podcast and I'll have a spiritual contest and I'll be over on the metal roofing podcast talking about spiritual stuff. And it's like, just put it all together.
That would be a great thing, Isaac. And I wish you the best for that as well. Have a great day. And thank you so much for your time once again. Take care.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Bye bye.